Alright, listen, I know what you're thinking. Maxwell, this is low-hanging fruit, okay? PSG just lost Mbappe, and now they're in a rebuild period. Meanwhile, Arsenal are arguably a top 10 European club in the world right now. I am fully aware of all this, by the way. I wanted to make this video out of pure spite, because throughout the many PSG videos I've made to pay off rent, my hospital bills in 2020, and my gambling debt, there have always been these types of comments. You're an Arsenal fan, you don't get to speak about Champions League affairs. This guy is talking about PSG when he's an Arsenal fan. You see, I have been waiting for this day ever since that glorious draw. But since this is a Maxwell video, let's firstly talk about the history of the matchups between these two teams. The first ever game between PSG and Arsenal was back in 1994 in the semi-finals of the European Cup Winners' Cup. This was a two-legged tie, and in the first leg in Paris, Ian Wright drew first blood for the Gunners. Then, the 50th minute, David Ginola saved the Parisians with an equalizer. In the second half, the late Kevin Campbell scored the only goal of the game to see Arsenal advance to the final. There, they would beat Parma 1-0 to win the tournament. The two teams wouldn't face each other again until the 2016-17 Champions League. In the first game in Paris, PSG started brilliantly with Edinson Cavani scoring in the first minute. PSG continued to dominate but failed to put away any of their chances, and this opened the door for Arsenal, who equalized in the 78th minute thanks to Alexis Sanchez. Edinson Cavani once again opened the scoring at the Emirates, but then Arsenal equalized, and then for some reason both teams decided to share some goals with one another. Near the end, PSG almost found the winner, but again Cavani shows himself to be genuinely the most frustrating world-class striker to ever exist. This result would have seen PSG win the group, however they drew with Ludogorets at home while the Gunners beat Basel. PSG would go on to suffer La Remontada in the second leg, while Arsenal, we're not going to talk about that. From there, both teams would go on to completely different trajectories. In the time that Arsenal entered its banter era, PSG reached the Champions League final in 2020 and the semis in 2021. From 2022 onwards, though, Arsenal would transform under Mikel Arteta and return to the Champions League after a 6-year drought, while PSG would go from a feared opponent to a laughingstock after relying too heavily on an ineffective superstar front three, enduring all the drama that came with it, and then seeing them leave within just 3 years. Which now brings us to October 1st, 2024. Arsenal vs PSG at the Emirates. The comments that I mentioned before that I had seen and heard, I had already heard them before. From my friend. Every single year. PSG would get eliminated, I'd make fun of him for it, and then he'd drop the line, "Oh, where's Arsenal? They're not in the Champions League. You don't get to speak." It only took 19 minutes for the Gunners to take the lead as Der Kaiser Havertz looks down at his prey. Pizza, pasta, lasagna, ravioli, cannoli, calciopoli. Just 25 minutes in, already Arsenal decided this Parisian side was far too inferior. They began to just cruise and watch PSG fail miserably despite holding significantly more possession. But then, just to add to the humiliation, Arsenal earned a free kick and Bukayo Saka scores past Gianluigi Ter Stegen, Gianluigi Onana, Gianluigi Van Le. Despite Arsenal having way less possession, they had full control of this one, and it would stay that way throughout the next half as PSG once again failed to create anything of note. And so the red team with no Champions Leagues has defeated the blue team with no Champions Leagues. You fools can never speak the name of our club in vain ever again. Ooh, talking about PSG when you're an Arsenal fan. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.